Hi, everyone, and welcome to Self Mastery. You know how I like to warm you guys up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest. Hello, Angelique.
Hi.
Hi. I'm warming everyone up a little bit.
I like it.
Rocking it through a little mellow vibe. It's actually called Dream.
Is it? You already know how I feel about that.
Sure do.
It's one of my favorite words.
I know, right? We have to like update where you can put the words on the screen. All right. Vibing through. Thank you, iTunes. Well, hello.
Hi.
And everyone, I'd like you to meet Miss Angélie Denisard. I always pronounce her name the very French way, but it is, I can't even think of how to say it the other way.
I know, you've never pronounced it American.
Ever. Like, what is it that you say? How do you normally introduce yourself?
I say Angélie. Really, Angélie. Like with like pushing up some glasses. But I love Angélie as well. It just sounds so much prettier, I think.
It is.
It is. It's super pretty, but I don't know. I just say Angélie because I'm nerdy, I guess.
I love it either way. Angélie is a beautiful name. And as I've heard you spell it, Angel, I-E, I love that. So welcome everyone. Welcome to Self Mastery. And today we're going to speak about self-mastery of perseverance. So Angélie, what you may or may not know, on my channel, I ended up giving everyone a little preview yesterday.
Yes, I watched it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually setting up for the space of self-mastery, since it's the main thing that I do in regards to my coaching to people. And I wanted to use this platform to really start to gift that out to individuals, that if there's a certain area that they're trying to navigate or figure out, that in this time of like economic downturn and really just all of us collectively going through a hard time, I wanted to give people an avenue that they can gain some insight, grow in their spaces and their mindset, and really just be able to do it without any obligations. Just be here to grow and have some fun with the rest of us.
Yes.
So I think it would be great if you don't mind giving everyone a little background about yourself.
Sure. It started out on a Tuesday morning at 4 a.m. in 1992. Just kidding. Something about myself. So my name's Angélie. I live in Atlanta. I am pursuing acting full time. It's always been my dream. And I kind of went off that dream a little bit and pursued other passions. But once I gained the confidence that I needed, I threw myself in the deep end, moved to Atlanta, and I've been here for 2 years now. I love to dance. I like musicals. I love food and cooking, and I have a YouTube channel, and I do lots of fun things. And that's really me. I don't know.
She's so downplaying herself, everyone, but that's okay. That's why I'm here. So when it comes to Angélie, like, she has a spectacular background. If her face looks familiar, it's probably because you've seen her on commercials all the time, especially if you're in Florida. So she's been on commercials for Universal. I think you were on Publix too. Was that another commercial?
Yeah. Well, no. Have I done Publix? No, I haven't, but I've been inside Publix for Universal. Yeah. So I guess I'll say it. I've done commercials for Universal, Disney, Walmart, Rooms to Go, lots of really big names. I did one really big commercial for Chewy.com, a website for animals, and that was all over. It was really cool to have my cousin text me and say, I was just on the treadmill and I almost fell off. I'm in LA and I saw you on TV. And I'm like, okay, that's super cool. So I've done plenty of commercials, and those have been a lot of fun. And I've moved to Atlanta specifically to get into TV and film. So I was most recently starred in Ryan Mononopolis's short film called 19 COVID Lane, where I play Sarah. And it was a lot of fun. It's a horror, it's like a thriller comedy. And I was also in another film that hasn't been released yet. It's currently in post-production. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm an actress.
Awesome. And for everybody who's curious, don't worry. I will absolutely place her information at the bottom of this video so that you can see all the details, how to get to her, especially her TikTok page, because she's hilarious. So yeah, let's get to that part of it. Well, actually, let's start a little different. Let's start where it became your journey into this space, your journey of perseverance, because especially in the acting space, this was one of the main reasons why I wanted you to speak to this subject, because you and I have talked a couple of times about different things, but specifically when it comes to this journey of acting, perseverance is required, right? Like that tool, if you don't have it, just don't even step into that space.
No.
So when you first stepped into the arena of acting, like, what is your earliest memory of actually picking up the tool of perseverance?
It's interesting because, like, so perseverance, you know, it means pushing through despite and just to keep going.
Through the
I'm sorry?
Through the difficulties.
Through the difficulties, to keep going. When I decided to pursue acting full time and to take it seriously, I went in with it with the mindset of there are no other options. So even though there have been difficulties, there's no plan B for me. Like, this is it. Like, this is my job. This is my career. This is my passion. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So, you know, whenever something came up, I'd be like, oh man, that sucks. Oh, well, you know, there's nothing else for me to even think about. I was actually talking to my friend yesterday, and she made the great analogy. You know, when you're on the treadmill, you say you're going to run 5 miles, you can stop at 3 at any time. No one's stopping you. But if you decide to run 5 miles outside of your house, you have no other option but to go those 5 miles. Because if you go 2.5 out, you still got to get back home. So that's how I feel about acting. Like, I'm outside. Like, I'm running outside. I have no other options but to keep going.
That's an awesome analogy, because
right?
Yeah, because for most people, you know, they get into a situation or a scenario, it's their dream, it's the main thing that they want to get into, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do. And then they step into it, and I'm sure you've probably gone through this too, like in your first hurdle of utilizing the tool of perseverance, right? Or stepping into the acting arena, where it's like you get through that first hurdle, you step into that space and you're going, this is what I want to do. And then you realize, oh, it's not as easy as I thought it'd be. And everything isn't coming easy. And it's not all making as much sense as I thought it would. Maybe I should turn back around, right?
I've definitely have thought that. I mean, yes, this is like, there is no plan B, but I've 100% gotten to a point where I'm like, should I be doing this? Maybe I should take a step back. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should, you know, reevaluate before I really go for it. And there are a few different layers to it as to why I was able to persevere, but I think definitely one of the biggest ones was having a network of people around me that supported me and believed in me. that like told me like when I was like being silly. They're like, no, you can't stop. That's silly. Keep going.
Yeah.
I guess so. So definitely having a strong group of people around me has centered me in that regard.
Nice.
Persevere, yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say are like, if you were to give 3 things that caused you in that first or second round to really just pick the tool back up and get back into the space of pursuing your acting career, what would you say are 2 other things that you looked at as to, yeah, that helped me as well?
I think prayer. Prayer definitely helped me because it helped me focus on not what was going on around me, but to think beyond that and to like know that like I'm taken care of, like it's gonna be okay. And then to just remember what I set out to do in the first place. Like, no, you said that you wanted to be an actress, so do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like a mixture of like remembering why I started, remembering who told me to start, and remembering like, and also having people to remind me of those things. So just those constant reminders of this is why, this is who did it, this is why you're doing it, it's gonna be okay. That's it.
Yeah, there's something that you actually do naturally that I absolutely adore. And when it comes to your journey and your pursuit, what I've noticed about you is that whenever you're dealing with a transition, because this is when I notice it happens, and this may be new to you as to this pattern, because
I'm really excited to hear. I'm excited to hear what you have to say because I'm like, I have no idea what I do.
Yeah, you have this beautiful pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. It's for each time that you are going through a transition, and it appears to be at either a lull or at the bottom edging of something, that you become super playful. You become super like you joke a lot. You do these funny videos. You're like constantly out there as to like, you know what? Psh, whatever, and you just start playing full out in the playful zone. And as you're doing that, what I've seen each time as you do that, it's like jumping over the hurdle, and then boom, you're like into something else. You're acting out, you know, in a new move, in a new screening or whatever, right? If you could speak to a little bit about that and that process for you, what happens there?
That's a great observation because that's exactly how I feel. Like I feel like whenever and this is talking about what you were talking about yesterday about making things playful, that resonated with me because that's what I love. Like I want it to be playful. Whatever I'm doing, it has to be fun because I'm out there. I'm exuberant. I'm bubbly. And so when things start to get tough, I'm like, okay, if this isn't fun, it's going to stress me out. I'm not going to enjoy it and I'm not going to want to do it. So let's just do something fun. And so whenever there's a lull, I'm like, okay, I have to take my mindset off of whatever this is and just go play. Just go giggle somewhere until like it's something else clicks, and then you can have fun with that. Yeah. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally did. So like when you decide, so for you guys, when you get out there, you'll start to see Anjali's videos and like her things on TikTok and YouTube that are either educational in regards to things pertaining or tied back into the entertainment and acting area, or it's super playful and it's really just, you know, her just having fun and bringing us in on it so we get to experience it as well. So when you're dealing with the fun space and you're doing like some of your fun bits in terms of your your skits that you do, like when you get into that space, is that all like improv, or is that really something where you're going, you know what, it'd be funny to talk about this today?
I
And then
think both. I think both. Like, it's always funnier when it's improv. It's always funnier when it's off the cuff. It's always funnier. I have no idea what I'm saying, but I tell my mom every day I am absolutely hilarious. I crack myself up. But, you know, whenever I write something down, and I've tried writing a script before, it's just not that good. Obviously, if I practice, it'd be better. But the thing is that it's a lot of my stuff, when I'm silly, it's just exactly who I am. And that's what makes it so much fun, because I'm being silly, and you can ignore me, because most people, my mom ignores me all the time. Like most people do, just ignore me. But I think it's really funny. And if you think it's funny, sweet. But whenever it's like the playful stuff, that's just me like blowing off some energy. That's just, I don't even know. I keep on doing this with my hand, because just don't even look at it. Like, I don't even know what to talk about with that. Like, that's a different person. I don't know her. I don't know.
Well, I just think it's super fantastic how you actually really take the moment in to play. And the thing is, acting is, you know, one of those arenas where you guys, it requires a lot of emotional and spiritual investment from you for what you do, right?
Yeah.
Like when I think about, you know, the kind of coaching that I do, I coach leaders, I coach executives, and it's all about really looking at different states of self-mastery. So perseverance is one of those things, right? And really trying to push in that space. But leaders are usually the ones that don't tend to play, right? Like they'll sacrifice that first. That's the first thing that they're like, we don't have time for this, right? Exactly.
Bad choice.
Exactly. So it's like when you're dealing with the lulls of business, and when you're dealing with the hard times of really just trying to gain the morale of your team, trying to move forward, trying to work with your partners or your peers, if fun isn't injected in some kind of way, it like makes everything 10 times harder.
Yeah. If it's not fun, and especially if you're going through a lull and then you try to do something that's not fun, all you're going to think about is like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do it. What I really want to do isn't happening. Why am I even doing this? I should be doing this instead. And, you know, I have to do X, Y, and Z. And then it builds on itself. Whereas like the times, whatever, what's it saying? Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
So it's true. Like if you're having fun, then time flies. Another audition will come in, another opportunity, another gig, another whatever will come. But if you're not having fun in the meantime, and people say this all the time, especially when it comes to acting, that you can't, yes, I'm pursuing acting full time, and that is my job, that's my career, but you have to have other passions, because even A-list actors go through lulls. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence had a year where she was in like, I don't even know how many movies one year. And then the next year she wasn't in any, because that's acting. And it is what it is. So you have to have passions outside of that. And if you're only thinking about one thing, and even if it's not acting, if whatever it is that your career is, if you're only thinking about that one thing, it's going to be overwhelming. And sometimes, you know, just through life, you just get bored with it. You just want to entertain yourself with something else, and then you come back.
Yes. And to even just to bring that in to dealing with, okay, you're dealing with a lull, you're trying to work with, all right, trying to bring in an element of fun. One of the key reasons why I thought about you, especially with all of your playfulness and your fun, and the fact that you're an actress, is that one of the key things that leaders can do is role play. So when they're dealing with like a hard time, or they're trying to figure out a problem within their team or with their partners, or in trying to solve, you know, an issue, role play is something that can easily be done, but also be fun, that can help them solve the issues.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that you could give some like key insights on some things to keep it playful when it comes to doing the role play, so that it's not all just here's the problem, how do we figure it out, but how do you just, dramatize it all and just make it super silly, extreme, and
Oh
whatever.
my goodness, you got to do improv, man. You have to do simple improv exercises and improv games. Just help you loosen up, because it's one thing to say, oh, just let loose, and then you're in a board, like a board. What's it called? What's it called? The boardroom? What?
Oh yeah, the boardroom.
Why does
A
it sound weird?
boardroom,
Anyway.
conference room.
So if you're like in a boardroom with execs and they're just like, let loose, like that's not gonna happen. But if you give them an opportunity to play Zip Zap Zop, if I have any actors on here know what that is, holler at me. Zip Zap Zop's a great game. Just different things, then that's going to help a lot. But to make things playful and to make things fun, man, you just got to get out of yourself. It's difficult to do. It's way easier said than done, but getting out of yourself is so essential, and it puts things in perspective again. Because at the end of the day, like, you're constantly like this with acting, because you're like, I have to audition for this gig, I'm gonna get this is the casting director, this is the director, this is the executive, like, this is the program that I want, and then you don't get it. And then you don't get it, and it sucks. But if you can just get outside of yourself and realize that maybe you didn't get it because you're too tall.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that.
Out of your control.
Like, it's really not that big of a deal. And then you realize that you have other auditions and other opportunities, and you've got other friends. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. So, well, when it comes to like prepping for your role play, like when you're going to do something silly, something fun, is there any type of prep that you do for yourself in that space, whether it be music or dancing or something?
When I prep, well, okay. Do you mean like for an audition or like acting specifically?
So let's put it in two different contexts. Like for your TikTok, when you were prepping for doing an improv on TikTok, are you just always ready? Or do you have some type of prep to put you in that full playful fun mode and then you record?
That's a really good question, because now I have to think about what I do. I am pretty much like that all the time. I feel like that's not very helpful to anyone. They're like, okay, great, so just have your personality.
I think you play the music.
But I think that, I like, if I record something super silly and I'm just like, nah, that was fake, then I'm not going to post it. Mm-hmm. But like, if I see something and I just get it out right away and it's my initial reaction, then that's what I post. Like, that's, there's not really any prep. It's literally my knee-jerk reaction that I'm recording.
Gotcha. Okay, so then let's go with preparing for a role.
So auditioning, again, a silly thing, is fun. I definitely, like, when it comes to like, there's a character, I obviously read the lines, I find out what's going on, and that's if it's silly. But that's also if it's dramatic. Gosh, why is this question so difficult to answer? What do I do? I don't listen to music.
Okay.
I use my imagination.
That's awesome.
Simply put, that's like, at the end of the day, without trying to use like, technical jargon for acting technique, whatever, mm-hmm. I use my imagination. So I'll get a script, I'll read it, I'll imagine what's going on, imagine how I would feel in that situation, imagine what that means for me, and then say the lines. I just got so excited about acting.
I love that you brought it out like that. So I love that you brought it out like that because it actually helps for those who would be trying to do role play but aren't in acting, where it's important if you're going to lead a team through a role play exercise that you actually highlight those things. Like, I need you guys to feel this.
Yeah.
To know that the experience is this.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the scenario.
Yeah. And I think what's so beautiful is that you don't tell people how to feel. You tell people, this is the situation. These are the circumstances. How do you feel?
Mm.
And then because people are it's so fascinating. And this is one of the many reasons why I love acting, is because you never know how someone's going to react. You don't know how you're going to react. You have no idea. Like, you can imagine it all you want, but once you start saying the lines and also someone else is saying something back to you, and you realize that they're like, well, that was rude and that made me mad. Now I'm mad when I was supposed to be happy. Why did you give me that attitude? And so you don't know what's going to happen. And I think it's really fascinating to see someone else's perspective, because everyone gets the same lines to audition, but you give 20 people the same lines and you'll get at least 15 different auditions. So there's some people are copy and paste, but anyway, you'll see people's different perspectives, because they'll read a line and it'll trigger something from their life and their perspective and how they saw it. And that's the reaction that they will give. So definitely, yeah, I think it's beautiful to imagine the situation. These are the circumstances. Okay, now you tell me what you see. You tell me.
I love that. I love that, because although we're kind of veering off more into role play and what that looks like in trying to add play into problem solving, more than the actual journey of perseverance, but we'll get back there in a second. What I really loved about what you said is that it allows the viewer, or maybe not the viewer, but it allows all of the participants of that circle to see the different sides of the story.
Yeah.
And so even if you wanted to identify different elements of the problem, you can have different people play different roles with everyone watching and everyone kind of jotting down what they're seeing. So
yeah. And it'll give you a different perspective when someone's like, yeah, this circumstance made me laugh. And you're like, that was sad. And you're like, oh, well, I laughed. And so it's those different things that you're like, oh, well, I guess I can see the humor in it now that you explain it that way.
That's really, really good. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Dropping jewels, dropping jewels. So when it comes to your drive and the fact that you are pushing, striving, going towards everything you want with acting, like everyone else, I'm sure you deal with your hurdles, your mountains, your avalanches when they come. So when you think about your most difficult moment, what were some things that you absolutely pulled out to use to get you through those moments or that moment? Because I know you spoke earlier in regards to tools of your network and prayer, and in speaking of connection, but for yourself, when you're dealing with that space of, I really don't want to do this today, and it has to be done, right?
Yes.
So what is it that you pull from to go, we're doing this?
I say it out loud. I say it out loud all the time. There was an audition this week I did not want to do. Didn't want to do it. I was over it. I was procrastinating, and then it was finally due, and I waited too long. And so I said to myself, I said, well, you did this. you waited too long, and you can't just not. You can't just not do it. That's, again, not an option. So now you're going to have to deal with the consequences that you created for yourself by procrastinating, and you're going to have to figure it out. So figure it out.
And you get yourself there.
And I got myself there, because if I were my own friend, like on the outside, if my friend came to me and was like, oh, I have an audition due in like 2 hours and I like waited so long and now I don't have anyone to read for me, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, okay, and get it done. Like, why are you talking to me? Like, so that's how I feel about myself. I kind of like kick myself, because at the end of the day, who else is going to pursue my dreams for me? Who?
Yes, indeed.
So just do it. Yeah.
I know for myself, like one of the key things that I do when I'm dealing with like super harsh moments like that, once I've gotten through it, because it is the same notion of, look, I need to hear myself say it. You're going to do this and get this done. And once it actually is completed, because it was such a journey, I normally celebrate it. Like I'll do something where I'm like, all right, you get a cupcake, or, something, a dance party, or, I'll take myself out to dinner, but something to commemorate the moment, because it makes it's less harsh.
Yeah.
Form of that sentence, but it doesn't feel as harsh the next time around, because it's like, oh, I did this before, I celebrated it, I know what this is, we can do you have rituals like that?
Okay, well, sort of, kind of, but not really. I don't celebrate. Whenever I like kick myself, I'm just like, yeah, well, you deserved it, and then I punch myself in the face.
Oh my god.
No. But once I do it, I'm just like, yeah, that's what you were supposed to do. Okay, now whatever, like we're going on with our life. But what I used to do whenever I booked a new gig, I would take myself out to eat afterwards, and I would like have my own little wrap party, like a wrap dinner, and I would like take myself out for a meal, and I would get like a drink, I get a cocktail, I get appetizer, a meal, and dessert, and I'd have them bring it out all at once, and it would be like, especially if I was traveling while doing it, I would go to like I'm vegan, so like I would find like a vegan like thing like on Instagram and with like crazy cool pictures and crazy food, and I'd go there and celebrate. And then it got to be a little expensive, even because I was booking so much, but I was like, okay, I need to chill. I'm eating out so much. Like, chill out. I didn't even get paid for this gig yet, but I would do that. So I would like celebrate that. But now I still kind of do it, but I do smaller things where I'll get a cupcake for booking it now instead of a whole meal.
Maybe if you switch it to the harder things that you do something big, where the ones where you have the hardest moments getting over or trying to do that, in those moments, the fact that you actually did it, then you reward yourself in a big way. So then it minimizes it later.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that instead.
Yeah. Plus it'll be fun. You can sit there at the table like, oh, we really did this.
Yeah. Food. I love food so much. Like literally, I'm just like, award me with food. All I want.
So if this version of Anjali met up with the first audition Anjali, what would she tell her about perseverance?
Girl, first of all, calm down. You're so nervous. Please calm down. Literally, I remember the first it was actually a callback. It was the first callback I ever had, and it was for Shoe Carnival. And all I had to do was put on my sneaker. When I tell you my hands were like this, trying to tie my shoelaces, Lord Jesus. But what would I tell myself about perseverance? I would tell myself, you're doing great. It's not going to be as easy as you think it is. You can still do it. Yeah.
Nice. And what tools would you give her to walk through it?
I feel like perseverance and my growth as an actress has come from my growth as a person. So the tools I would give wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, here's a good acting class, although I would say that. But I would also say, like, read this book, and yeah, like, you know, like, or read this poem. It's actually like the Hawaiian prayer poem that I would tell myself. I would say it goes, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. And I would tell myself to do that sooner and to have that spiritual and emotional growth sooner, because a lot of the times when coming up against a hurdle, I would blame myself and not like myself. So if I had the tools that I have now in loving myself, I would have gone through those smoother, quicker, more gentle. Yeah.
I actually really love that you segued into that, because a lot of that has everything to do with how you persevere, right? Like we talked about adding fun into the pursuit, but where is your mindset? What exactly is going on in your head and heart space walking through that pursuit? And so it is important how you see yourself and what it is that you are speaking to yourself and even getting through it.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead.
I think that how you see yourself is so essential to perseverance, because if you don't think you can do it, you're not going to do it. Like, no matter what tools you have, like, no matter what your goal is, if you don't believe that you're capable, then you're not gonna do it. So seeing yourself in a way, like, I see myself as successful. I see myself as someone who's passionate and someone who is more than capable. I see myself as someone who's talented. So when I do come up against a hurdle, I'm like, wait a second, you're talented. Wait a second, you can do it. What are you talking about? So yeah, having that growth is essential.
Indeed. Like, just hearing you talk about it, I'm thinking about like the first steps in my journey of perseverance, and really just looking at what kind of tools I had to pick up. Like, as you were answering the question, I'm like, what are my answers to that question? And I remember when I first recognized my self-talk, because it's something that you just do so subconsciously that it's not until you have to really truly persevere on anything is when you really start to hear it.
Yep.
And I remember hearing myself like, oh, that was stupid, or right, or like, just forget it, or it was I don't even know why you did that, that was dumb, or like, it was all of these like beat down, beat up comments that were not kind, not generous, not loving at all. And I had to really dig into that and pause for a second, because it's like, wait a second, you know, if I'm supposed to be an example of what love looks like and how love is expressed, especially to the people in my life, like, am I really loving myself if I can speak that clearly to others but not to myself? If I can be that kind to others but not to myself, you know? So all of that was like a big, big thing for me
Yeah.
to hear those words spoken.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely have learned to be kinder to myself recently, because even when I do have those low moments and I acknowledge that I'm being lazy, like you're being lazy right now, you're procrastinating, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not doing what you want to be doing. I acknowledge that, but I don't say you're so dumb for doing that. You're such a lazy person. I never say that about myself. I never say that I'm a lazy person. Never, but recently. I don't say that. I say what you're doing right now is pretty lazy. This is a lazy thing to do.
Real talk.
Let's do something else. Let's do something that's productive, because you know that you want to be a productive person all the time.
Yeah.
So let's do that. And so it's definitely that self-talk that it's like, okay, this is how I get out of that.
Yeah. And for the viewers out there, even, you know, with what we're talking about now in regards to that self-love journey and looking at how that plays into the self-mastery of perseverance, that even when it comes to that reflection, that moment and that point of, wait a second, what does my self-talk look like? When I walked through it and I really dug into it, dug deep, you already know. Another coaching that I do is in regards to self-love and everything pertaining to that mastery space. So when it comes to really looking in that space for myself, when I dug in deep, the foundation of the issue was the fact that I was a perfectionist.
Girl. Yes. Yes.
That was the foundation of the issue. And because I was such a perfectionist, I used very perfectionist type terms to judge myself and speak to myself and of myself. And that's when I realized, like, oh my goodness, perfectionism is stupid.
It's so exhausting. It's so tiresome. Oh my gosh, I can't keep up with my level of perfection. I can't.
Right? Like, we're our worst critics in that space.
Yes.
And that's what like truly breaks down. It's almost like for stepping into the space of perseverance, for those who are looking to master it and to truly master it for themselves, you have to understand that you too will end up dealing with this mirror, right? Like, that is something that is bound to show up as to, okay, what is your self-love, self-talk look like? Because that is what perseverance does. You have to push through the obstacles and the things that you're going, I didn't expect this hardship.
Yeah.
And because it's catching you off guard, you have to know what it is you're saying to yourself when that pops up.
Yeah. The first time I had like a really tough time in Atlanta, I was going to move back to Orlando. I had literally only been here for 6 months, and I thought it was going to be easy. I thought that I was going to book something, and I didn't. I didn't book one thing. And so I was like, maybe I should just go back. And I didn't have that self-talk of love. Like, I was just like, I'm failing right now. Like, this is, so maybe I should go back to be successful instead of persevering and like finding success here, which I'm so happy I did, because I did end up finding success here. So yeah. Yes, all of it.
It's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. And I know I'm having a blast watching you grow in your career and really just, I mean, the ways in which you are expanding out into the world these days and really just expressing yourself is a beautiful thing. And I am 100% here for it. Totally here for it. So I guess the one thing that I would say, if I were to say to you in 3 words, what 3 words would you give our audience in regards to really looking at your own journey, dealing with some hardships in that journey. And hi
Yeah,
Mishka.
it's Mishka. She jumped on my lap.
It's on the tail and the ears.
I
But
can't control her.
it's totally fine. When it comes to the journey, 3 words that you would say that people should absolutely include in their language or dialogue, whether it be mental or, verbally or vocally, in being able to maintain their pursuit. If it was just 3 key words that you're going, you know what, for me, these 3, hearing those 3 words, for sure, I'm moving forward with what I'm doing.
I feel like maybe it's not 3 words, but it's like sentences.
Okay, perfect.
So like 3 words is like difficult to narrow down. But
Okay.
How I word the sentence is essential. I'm very careful about how I say things. Like, I'm not a lazy person, I'm doing a lazy thing. To differentiate those things is important. Yes, okay. And saying positive things as well. So I am compassionate. Just to like give myself a little nugget. Just like, you are like, this sucks right now, but you are talented. Like, nothing is going to change that. You are blank. Whatever the Lord put on you, whatever like you have for yourself, you are that. And nothing is going to change that. You could change careers, you could move across the country, but you're always going to be talented. You are always going to be loving. You are always going to be funny. You are always going, like, that's not going to change. So that is really important for me. And this too shall pass. This too shall pass.
Those were great.
Thanks.
Excellent. Anjali, thank you so very much for spending this time with us. We appreciate your time. And Mishka, hi little Mishka. We appreciate your time. I know you have busy days and all the things that you're doing. And plus you probably have another TikTok video that you're about to put out.
I'm literally going to sign off and edit another YouTube video. I have to edit this. I've got like 2 or 3 to edit. So I gotta do
it. Thank you again. I truly appreciate you in being able to share with everyone the journey of self-mastery of perseverance through the eyes of an actress, and really just giving everybody some jewels in that space. I hope you guys join us next Friday, where we will have the journey of self-mastery of meditation through the vehicle of yoga. So we will have a yogi come in and speak to us about what that mindset is and everything pertaining to that space and the gift of walking through that through yoga. So thank you all.
Thank you, Patricia.
Appreciate you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.